Hello pattern lovers, you're welcome and welcome back. It's yet another exciting tutorial, and in today's video we will be drafting this corset blouse. It's an asymmetrical design corset blouse, and in this tutorial I'll be sharing with you the detailed drafting process. And if you're in for all of that, then let's do this. So we'll be starting with the front top, and your paper is going to be on fold. Okay, that means that all the lines that you can see here now are also on this side. Now we are going to start with the measurements, and by the time we are done on this side, I'm going to use my tracing wheel to make it reflect on the other side. Now we have the bust point, the under bust, the waistline, and then the hip line, and of course the shoulder line. Now I'll come to the shoulder line and divide the shoulder measurement by 2, and then I will be going down to my chest line, and on that point again I'll divide the shoulder by 2 and mark it. And now I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect first the shoulder measurement and then the chest line extension this way. Now I'm going to come here and go in 3 inches, then come to the shoulder line and come down 1.5, and then I'm going to slope it to the 3 inches like this. This will be the our shoulder slope for the front. Now I will measure what I have here and divide it into 2 equal halves and go in on that point by 1/2 inch. Then I'll come to the chest line and take the bust measurement divided by 4, and now I'm going to slant this way and then curve this way. Now the armhole is ready. Next, I'll come to the bust point line and mark my bust span divided by 2, and then mark the same thing on the hip line and use a straight line to connect it this way. So your nipple to nipple, you divide that by 2, you mark it on the bust point line and also on the hip line. Now for the under bust tightening, I'll be marking 0.75 going to the center front. Then I'll place my 2 inches on that 0.75 and mark it on this other side. It's very simple that way. Whatever you want to use to tighten your under bust, you're going to share lesser of that going to the center front and then larger of that value going to the side. For this case, I did 0.75 going to the side, going to the center front, and then 1.25 going to the side, and that's how I came up with the 2 inches I used as the under bust tightening. And you see how I curved and connected the points. So I already have the bust measurement on the chest line. I'm going to come to the waist and divide the waist circumference divided by 4 plus the 2 inches that intake. I'll go to the hip line and then divide the hip circumference by 4 plus the that intake. Now I'll start from the waist measurement, including the that intake, and come in by 0.75 because that's how much I want to take out from my waistline. Most times it's not actually what you take out, but yeah, it helps shape your side, your side pattern, and makes it easy for you to snatch. Okay, for this case I did just 0.75. Then I'll be coming down from the bust point line by 1.5 because that's the difference between my front length and then the back length, and then I will slant it to the bust band this way. Next, I'm coming up here by 3.5 as my over bust line. Then I'm going to mark a straight line this way. I'll come to the shoulder slope, measure it and divide it into 2 equal halves, mark it, and then I'm going to slant it to the bust span just like this. Now to tighten the over bust, on both sides of this line I'll be marking 0.75, and then I'm going to use my curve to curve it out this way. First this side, and then I'll be making this part a little bit curvier than what I have on the center front. Next thing I'll be doing now is to start from the shoulder and come down to my neck depth. Whenever you want your neckline to sit, go ahead and mark it at this point, and then on that point, that neck depth, you're going to mark your bust bridge. Here I'm doing 0.625. So by the time I open it up, it's going to be 1.25. If you want just 1 inch, you're doing 1/2 inch there. Now I'm going to measure these two dark legs, this side. I'll carefully measure it from the over bust line all the way to the bust point. Then I'm going to make sure I have the same thing on this side, and it's always lesser going to the center. So I kind of extended it this way, and now I'm going to place my curve like this and curve out the neckline to the bust bridge like this. The next thing we'll be doing now is to do a little calculation, which is not hard. So I use 1.5 to tighten the over bust. I'm going to take half of that, which is 0.75, to tighten the yoke. Then the other 0.75, I'll be extending it on the chest line. So when you divide 0.75 into 2, you're going to have 0.375. I'll mark it on both sides of this line. But before I connect it up, I'm going to extend this shoulder line all the way to the shoulder line. Yeah, this line that went across the shoulder slope all the way to the shoulder line. Now, before we connect that, I'm going to come up here from the shoulder tip. I'll be going up 0.75 because of the shoulder pad. Okay, you want to extend your shoulder slope this way so that it can accommodate your shoulder pad. And now I'm going to connect the dart just as you can see me do it here. Now it's going to stop from this new shoulder slope. Then the remaining 0.75 from the 1.5 we used to tighten the over bust. Yeah, like I said, I will be extending the chest line with that. So I'll be coming here from here. I'll be marking that 0.75, making sure I have the exact 0.75. That's why you see me place my measuring tape this way. But I just marked 0.75. And now I'm going to curve the armhole again to that point, as you can see me do it. And then from that point again, I'm going to curve the armhole again to the shoulder tip. This way, you just tighten both the chest line and you also replace the dart intake on the side without your armhole looking too weird. Now I'm going to place my curve this way and blend in this part to the armhole curve just like this. Next, I'm going to take this bust bridge all the way to the under bust, and I said I'm doing 0.625, which is 1.25 by the time you open it up. If you want 1.5, go ahead and do 0.75, and if you want just 1 inch, go ahead and do half inch on that point. And then I'm going to curve this part this way. We'll be doing the side later by the time we close the bust dart. But for now, I'm going to trace this out and even use my pencil to trace it out on the other side to have something like this. Okay, go ahead and label this left and right so that you know where and what you're doing. I'm now going to start from this crease line, which is the midpoint of this blouse, and come in here by 3 inches as the neck width. If you want it wider, go ahead and make it wider. And on this part again, I'll be extending this part by 3 inches from the crease line. Yeah, the midpoint, I'm going out 3 inches as the neck width. So if you look at the thumbnail, the neckline is not so wide. If 3 inches will work for your size, go ahead and do it at this point. But it's not supposed to be wide, except you want it that way. And I'm going to connect it just as you can see me do it here. So this part, I want to give it a little curve because it wouldn't hurt, would it? After doing the neckline, this is what it's looking like. Now coming to the down parts, like I said, label this right and left. Now coming to the down part on the left hand side, I'm going to start from the waistline on this side and go down to my blouse length, and I'm doing just 5.5. At this point, go ahead and do whatever blouse length that you want. Now, measuring from the waistline to that point, I have 5 inches. I'll come to this dark leg, and instead of marking that 5 inches, I'll be adding 1 inch to it, making it 6 inches. Then now I'm going to connect the 2 points with a slight curve on both ends. So on this side, I'm doing a slight curve. You can be creative with your hem design. Okay, go ahead and just curve it as much as you want it at this point, or if you want it straight, just go ahead and connect it straight. And whatever it is I have here, I'm going to also mark it on this point so that by the time we close the dart, they are going to align. So I have 6 inches there too. Then coming to the crease line, which indicates the midpoint, I'm going to come down to 4 inches. Okay, on the midpoint, I'll mark 4 inches. Then I'll be going in on the left hand side by half inch. Can you see? Half inch there this way, and you see how I extended it or how I made it obvious. Now I'm going to also use a slight curve to connect it to the 6 inches I have on this that leg, just something like this. And now from the crease line again, which is the midpoint, I'll be going down to 2 inches. Do you understand? You know the this blouse length is our hip line, yeah? So from your hip line, you're adding extra 2 inches or 3 inches depending on how pointy you want this to be. Do you understand? Then I will extend this line this way to that 2 inches. Now, this 2 inches, like I said, is totally optional. Trust me, if you measure this and you feel like it's not pointy enough, make it longer. But if you feel like it's too much, you can just maintain your hip line, but it's not going to give you what you have on the thumbnail. Now, coming to this side, I'm going to mark the exact same thing I have here, which is 5.5. I'll come to this side and mark the same 5.5. Then now I'm going to connect from this point to this blouse length. But first, we'll be closing the bust dart so that we can be able to connect this right without having to like replace any shortage later on. So you just close your dart this way. Make sure that the waistline and the hip line are matching up with the other side. And because we did a slight curve on the other side, I will also be curving out this side just so it looks like what we have on the other side, like the curve. And I kind of did overdid that. So I'm going to connect like this to that blouse length with a faint line. Yeah, first, then I'm going to give it a more suiting curve to look like what we have on the other side of the blouse length. Do you understand? And now I'm making this obvious. And yeah, this is kind of looking like what we have on the other side. But like I said, you can be creative with your hem design. Now tracing this out and even marking it out with my pencil, you can see why you need to close in your dart before doing this part. Can you see? If you can do this without closing the dart, go ahead and do it. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for this blouse, except that we are yet to curve the side cup, but we'll be doing that now. And to do that, we are going to cut this out by closing the bust dart. I'm going to shade off this part, then open the dart line all the way to the bust point, then fold in the bust dart this way and place it on the bust point line. So I like to start placing from the bust span going to the side because it works better for me that way. Then I will apply my water glue in between the dart lines and then place it back this way and then blend in the distorted lines. Go ahead and repeat the same thing on the other side. And now you're going to measure what you have here. Whatever it is you have there, you're going to add ½ inch to it. Or better still, you start from your side seam and come into where you want your cup to sit. Do you understand? And now I'm going to place my cup this way and curve it out. Just curve it as much as you want this to cup, or yeah, how much you want it to cup. So where you connect it is totally optional. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side. I'm going to add ½ inch to what I measured on the center cup, mark it, and then use my curve again to curve from the under bust, making sure it's meeting that point and then going all the way to the armhole curve like this. So after doing that, I measured what I have left on this side and also on the other side, and of course I'm on the right track. So I'm now going to complete the cutting. Just watch where and how I'll be cutting this out.
I don't wanna hear her say, I don't wanna hear her say you there with another man. The way your body rolled it, I no go like if I see you with another man. I don't wanna hear her say, I don't wanna hear her say you there with another man. The way your body rolled it, I don't wanna see you with nobody, nobody, no.
So now for the yoke, you're going to close in this dart. You fold in one of the dart legs and then you're going to place it on the other dart leg this way. Okay, so at this point use your cello tape, your masking tape or water glue like I'm doing here now. You apply the water glue in between the dart legs and then you place the dart back on the other dart leg. Then after that you're going to blend in the shoulder line. So I wanted to come in here by ½ inch. Then I remember that you are padding the shoulder. So you are even supposed to be extending instead of coming in. But ordinarily, you're supposed to like come in there and then blend it back to the armhole curve so that it won't extend your shoulder line. Do you understand? But because you are padding the shoulder, you don't have to come in. You should even be extending. But since you're using net as the yoke, Don't bother about extending this. It's going to extend on its own and accommodate the shoulder pad. I don't know if you understand, but yeah, you are not supposed to like extend the shoulder tip or come in from the shoulder tip because you're using a material that has a stretch tendency as your yoke. So after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. And can you see this blouse? Can you see this? So I'm bringing in the two sides. You can see that it's going to be a good fit. Now, working on the back, I'm going to start from the shoulder line and go down to 16 inches because that's my back length here. The 1.5 missing here, we use 17.5 for the front waistline. The 1.5 missing is what we used as the bust dart. So for the front, I did 17.5, and then when you minus 1.5 from 17.5, you're going to be left with 16 inches, and that's exactly what I marked here as my waistline. Now, I'm going to come here. This will be the center back. So from here, I'll be dividing the shoulder measurement by 2 and go down to the chest line here. And again, on that point, I'll be marking the shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then now I'm going to connect it out like this. The next thing I'll be doing now is to come in here by 3 inches as the neck width, then come down here by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and then slant it from the 1 inch on the shoulder line to the 3 inches I'm using as the neck width. Now I'll start from the center back and divide the bust measurement divided by 4 and then use that point to curve the armhole. Now I'm going to start from the shoulder line and go down to where I want the neckline for the back to sit, and then use my curve this way and then blend it in to that point. Do you understand that? The next thing I'll be doing now is to get the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch that intake. We'll be doing that intake later on, but yeah, the 1 inch allowance I added will be for that. I'll go to the hip line and divide the hip circumference by 4 plus extra half inch for that. And now I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point together. So now you're coming in here by half inch. I did 1 inch, but I would advise that you do half inch. Then coming up here, I'll be doing 2 inches. And now I'm going to use my ruler to slant it this way. That will be where you'll be cutting out for your eyelet. Next, I'm now going to measure what I have here now and divide it into 2 equal halves. Then measure from the center back to that point. Whatever it is I have, I'm going to take it down and also take it up just so we have a straight line to take in the dart. And now I'm going to mark it straight, like connect it straight with my ruler this way. And this is where we'll be taking in the dart. So we are trying to make sure that the side front and then the side back are aligning, and you can see that we are right on track. This also contributes to the neatness of your work. Do you understand? So now on both sides, I'll be marking 0.75 on the waistline. Remember, I added just 1 inch that replacement on the side, and here I'm doing 0.75. Don't worry, we'll make it work. Then going to the up, half inch on both sides, and then down 0.25 on both sides. Now I'm going to connect the dots this way. So like I was trying to explain earlier, you are trying to make sure that your side front and then the side back, that they are aligning, so that by the time you want to do the boning that goes to the side seam, it's going to make it neater because you're working with a side front and a side back that is aligning. Do you understand? Instead of the back being curvy and then the side front being kind of straight, it will work, but this makes your work neater. So now taking the waist measurement again plus the 1.5 that intake, and then from that point coming in 0.75 like we did on the front pattern. This is where the measurement falls in. And now I'm going to like connect it back. But you can decide to leave it anyway. It's 0.25, which will make a difference and also not make a difference. I'll come down here by 5.5, which we are using as the blouse length, and then come here from the center back to 6 inches. And now I'm going to use my curve to connect it this way. At this point, you can also go ahead and blend in this side or like curve it out so that it kind of looks like what you have on the front pattern. And that's pretty much about it for this back pattern. The next thing we'll be doing is to do the yoke. the keyhole first, and I will be coming down here by 2 inches for the neckline. Then I'm going to use my curves to curve it to the neck width like this. The neck width is 3 inches. Now I'm going to start from the neck depth, the actual neck depth, and go up 1 inch for the keyhole. And at this point, go ahead and go up as much as you want it. But for what is on the thumbnail, this 1 inch or 1.5 would give you that. Then you're going to connect it this way. Okay, so you're connecting from the first dart leg or the second dart legs, it will work. And now I'm going to mark this out this way, which is about ½ inch. We are taking this out from the yoke, and this way by the time you join the yoke to the corset, is not going to gape on that point. This is like tightening. You can tighten it the more if you want. And another tightening I'll be doing will be going to the center back. So I'm going to take out about 1 inch on the part and then about 0.25 on the neckline. And yeah, that way it's going to sit well on the back with no form of gaping. And of course, I'm going to cut this out. After cutting your pattern out, please do it to indicate the upper part and even label this. So I like to notch the upper part and then label to indicate. And then now, you're going up here 0.75 and you slope the shoulder back. That's what we did with the front here. And like I was trying to explain earlier, you're supposed to like come out here by 0.75 for your shoulder pad. But because you're using a net that has a stretch tendency, you can decide to ignore it. Ordinarily, you're supposed to like come in here by ½ inch and then you blend it into the armhole so that it won't extend your shoulder and affect your sleeve. But because of the shoulder pad, just leave the shoulder this way. But if you're using ordinary material that is not stretchy, go ahead and extend it with the same 0.75 so that it will accommodate your shoulder pad and sit well. So after cutting it out, this is what it's looking like. And this yoke, if you even decide to like join it from here, you will be shocked that it will go all the way to the side. Yeah, that's how much your net stretch, and that's how much the yoke tends to stretch after cutting it. So now matching up the side front and then the side back, you can see that they're aligning. But if you do it and there's any excess on any side, making sure that the waistline are aligning. Yeah, if there's any excess, you're going to shed it off, or you place it on the one that there's shortage if you feel like. And yeah, that's pretty much about it for this pattern. Now we have all the patterns that you need to make this blouse, and it's going to come out banging. I thought I was recording while cutting this sleeve, but it's just a basic sleeve. You're only extending it from your sleeve length, like from the sleeve cap. You're only going up with the same 0.75, the same thing you extended your shoulder slope with. This way, it will accommodate your shoulder pad with no bubbles or any shortage anywhere. And then we have the center front, the two side fronts, the 4 pieces of cups, that's the center cup and then the side. And then we have the yoke, the front yoke, which is looking all cute. And then we have the back pattern. We have the center back and then the side back, and then we have the yoke. So yeah, go ahead and transfer this to your fabric, add the necessary allowance, and happy sewing. So I went ahead to tape down the pattern, and can you see that cup? Can you see the hem? Can you see the yoke? This is definitely going to bang. It's good, like you know, a good fit from the pattern. As long as you follow all these tips I shared in this video, you're going to have a good fit. And yeah, with that, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Do let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be seeing you in my next one. Bye bye.